Love News in 2022 captured Akunta Mining Limited and other illegal miners polluting the Tano River at Samraboy in the western region. We uncovered irresponsible mining polluting the Tano at various points in communities like Atala, Uhiampenika, and Datano sections of the river. A year after producing the Distraction for Gold documentary, we went back to Samraboy to gauge the situation on the ground. The miners have abandoned posts and left behind deep pits and gullies they created along the Tano River. Ofusua Sare Samuel is the assembly member for the Mumuni electoral area.
After your last documentary, those that they were in operation, they left the community or they left the site. They are no more here or destroying the land.
But our tour of the adjoining villages along the Tano revealed disturbing pictures of direct active mining in the Tano River with residues directed into the Tano. Shamfan operators and illegal miners currently sit on the river at various points. These Chinese miners were spotted at Boya, a farming community, driving the excavators and operating the mine themselves, contrary to mining regulations.
This is purely illegal. There is no buffer between the Tano River and what they are doing. And if you see in the distance, there is a washing bay sitting at the edge of the tunnel, washing directly into the river. This is purely criminal.
Close to the airstrip at Samraboy, these two Chinese nationals were found operating this mine, which seems to be violating the government's buffer zone policy for mining close to major water bodies like the Tano River. They told me the site belongs to Akunta Mining Limited.
You go drop me bojo.
This side, Akunta people.
Yeah.
Officials of Akunta Mining will not respond to the claims. The devastated Atala, Uhiampenika, and Datano lands fall into the concession of Unipar Mining Company Limited. But even before Unipar could complete its licensing processes to start mining, large parts of its concession have been invaded by illegal miners. David Thompson is Corporate Affairs Manager.
Whilst we acquired it, over a period of time, illegal miners started to come onto the concession. We tried to engage them in a cordial manner to try and say, hey gentlemen, this is illegal mining. We didn't really get too far in that negotiation. Therefore, we informed the Mineral Commission So we engaged the military to remove them. They were removed, and then subsequently they started to come back again.
David speaks of the dangers of mining in the river tunnel, calling for urgent steps to control the practice.
Any activity on any of the rivers, straight away, it's like, surely, people, please, this is going nowhere for you. You're going to make a quick buck. How long is it going to last? But the decimation, the catastrophe that you're leaving behind is shocking. The poisons, the colors of the water, the local indigenous people who wash their clothes from that river, who are drinking and using to cook their food from that river. I mean, it's a travesty, and I really believe that should stop an awful lot of the illegal mining on the rivers immediately.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Atala, Ohiampenica, Samraboy, Western Region.
Following the arrest of the miners, a group of aggrieved illegal miners painted police military team called to maintain order. A reinforced security team responded with warning shots to disperse the angry miners who smashed windows and windscreen of a bus and a pickup vehicle belonging to Anglo Ashanti. The Obuasi East District Security Council says less than 100 miners had invaded the concession illegally, with 71 of them going underground. Chairperson of DISEC, Faustina Amisa, tells Joy News the last batch of miners were accosted to the police station Tuesday afternoon.
By the close of Monday, 7 of them had come out. 1 was able to escape, and then the 6 were given to the police and later granted bail. As I speak with you, 87 had come out about an hour ago, and they were given to the police. Their statements were taken. Some were granted bail, but I'm sure by now all of them had been given bail. So the town is calm. Everybody is going up and down with their normal duties. Everything is under control. But could you believe, yesterday, whilst we were persuading them to come for the bus, others were also coming from home. They are now going to underground through some of the illegal holes.
According to sources, the illegal miners were bent on carrying their stolen booty to their destination, hence the failure to move out of the tunnel. Kojo Jemfi, a journalist, joined security personnel, officials of the Minerals Commission and the DCE for the area to plead with the miners to surrender.
We were there, myself and host of Minerals Commission, Mining Inspectorate, we were there. And they opened the gate for the young men to come out. But for fear of being arrested, they defied the orders to come out. So of the truth, in court, they weren't trapped. They were hesitant to come out for fear of being arrested.
His account was corroborated by Tahiru Gadu, an executive member of the Small Scale Miners Association, who secured bail for many of the miners.
They were not trapped willingly. And no muko hose omukope omanu aduane abeti. Na unfortunately no, on their part no, baby omufa room no. Me say mine no so leadership no ehuye. And na omuko sili ho omuko kata baby omufa room no ano. That's just say they can no go back where they went through. The only alternative way umuwoye so omasan pass through the mine tunnel inside the mine, and also obviously impossible. Upia not just a wahane over to the mine security.
District Chief Executive for Obuasi East, Faustina Amisa, explained the rationale behind the action of the miners.
When they go through their own assets and coming back, they realize that their own assets had been blocked. They exaggerate things, and then the whole thing will seem like people are dying so that they will get public sympathy. A lot of people bought them. That is why I like Joy News. They take their time, they investigate before they come out.
From Obuasi, for Joy News, Onyentabia reporting.
The survival of a few through illegal means threatens our collective survival. So we cannot continue to look on, watch as the very few lead us the path of destruction. The state has awesome powers to be able to clamp down illegal mining. The state has enough money to redirect the energies of the people involved in this existential threat. The state cannot have excuse for what is going on. The state began the process elevating the fight under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He actually pledged his presidency to this. Unfortunately, he appears, and his government appear to have given up. You can't give up. This is your job. This is why we voted you into office. Now, this first segment is part of the reason you haven't heard me deliver Samson Steak. So allow me the room of commentary. As you have followed, 87 illegal miners have safely exited the AngloGold Ashanti mine shafts. The miners were scared of arrest upon exit because police officers had been stationed right at the exit to pick them for doing the wrong thing. Initially, we were told they numbered 300 or in excess of 200. Well, this is the number that is out now. They are all in police custody. Well, some, we understand, were granted bail and no injuries reported. In March, Golden Star Wasa Limited had illegal miners attack its Benso site. They set buildings and vehicles alight, perhaps emulating how the state was using illegal and unconstitutional means to destroy, what do you call them? Excavators. So they also took some inspiration and began to do that to people's private property, people who have a license to mine and who are giving money and paying tax to the state. In 2022, we heard of stories of trapped illegal miners. Talk about similar events. We had 11 galamseyers who got trapped in a pit at Ahwem. Illegal miners sneaked into pit belonging to AngloGold. Once again, they were scared that if they came out, they would be arrested. They spent 5 days in the pits. The company was alleged to have neglected the pit for 12 years. So they felt we could go in there. As you know, at the start of 2017, the president and his government bought into the media coalition against Galamsey, led by Dr. Ken Achebe, and decided to change what it had promised in elections and adopt what the media began to do. Simply stop Galamsey. Over 200,000 people were engaged in Galamsey, officially we were told. Nearly 3 million, we are told, rely on Galamsey for their livelihoods. Ghana attracted 50,000 gold seekers from China alone, 50,000 gold seekers from China alone. More than 19,000 hectares, or about 2% of cocoa plantations, were destroyed or have been destroyed by operators. Cocoa, Remember what cocoa represents for your country. Okay. Once again, Anglo Gold was accused of neglecting the place for about 12 years. Now, what is going on? We have laws, we have policies that say that we have a buffer zone that needs protection to improve water quality, influence local climate, and conserve wildlife. We want to protect and regenerate and maintain vegetation. So in fact, the government has been doing a tree planting exercise. A lot of millions go into that. So why are we allowing Galamseyers, a very small community of the country, to destroy everything? That is the big question. Erastus, thank you very much for joining us once again. He has gone back to some of the mining sites, and you heard his story. Illegal miners have taken over the river tunnel in renewed onslaught on the already polluted major water sources. Doctors, physicians have been telling us in the last few weeks the real medical effects. This is science, not some rumor. The people who are actually in it are also affected, but the state has a responsibility to protect them from killing themselves. The deaths that are being recorded, the cyanide is destroying not only food and fruits, among others, but it's actually killing people directly. The Environmental Protection Agency reveals disturbing levels of mercury concentration in the river. I'm talking about Tano, and in the river in Samraboy, the catch point there. After concession owners engaged security agencies to flush out the miners last year, Erastus reports that the activities continue in polluting the river tunnel. Erastus, so what led to your decision to go back to check on this? Because the Ghanaian media is known to touch and leave. Just tell the story as it happens, and then you go to sleep.
Well, Samson, I have 3 children. I see this as an existential threat. It's personal because the water that is being pumped into your homes, you cannot guarantee 100% that you don't have traces of heavy metals in them. And so to sit aloof and say, I've done a documentary and it's there, and so people should act, they are not acting, and just give up, it's not an answer.
We realized that Love FM recently, hosted some, physicians, and they revealed very disturbing stuff that is happening as a result of Galamsey. Perhaps, is that what was the trigger for you?
In fact, that was on the back of my initial interview, which has started this whole, as part of my documentary, the second part of Distraction for Gold. So I got to interview Professor Sampini, and out of that, Love FM's show decided to pick part of it for discussion. And when we finished the documentary, which of course is being co-sponsored by Trust Africa, an NGO, you will get to see what you heard the professor say is just the tip of the iceberg. If you see the visuals of the children who have died with deformities, they died with their mothers. And if you look at the levels of mercury concentration, some of them levels of cadmium, arsenic, and other heavy metals, it's shocking. And if you get to listen to the doctors we've been interviewing, from Samraboy to Achiribwanda, to the Prague Basin, then you get to know that this is not something that as a country we should be sitting on. By now, people should be running helter-skelter, like there's fire on the mountain, moving every muscle to try to curb this. Because wherever we've gone, and in fact, we've been moving to Western region. We've gone a lot into Western region. Yesterday, we were in the Central region. We are now going and moving into the Ofin and the Oda. And something, now people have made it their business to really sit on the riverbed and mine.
You seem to point us to a certain impunity, perhaps also resulting from state actions against the fight. The president has been accused, rightly, for instead of, through some of your work, Akonta Mining, that is owned by the Ashanti Regional Chairman of his party, was indicted by the state, confirming what you saw there. The Lands and Natural Ministry, all the parties involved, came to the inescapable conclusion that he was mining in the forest without the license to do so. And the president later mounted, a platform and appeared to, as it were, defend him and exonerate him. We have heard all the lame excuses and explanations to that. But people say if people like that are not being prosecuted, that's what empowers impunity in these areas. Is that what you think is leading to these people feeling so bold, returning after, scaring military, fully armed, have been there to drive them away from the place?
You hit the nail right on the head. And let me tell you this, as part of the documentary anyway. So we went back to Samurai Boy. And can you imagine that the president told us that currently Akonta Mining is not mining in any forest. Well, they are not in the forest at the moment. The devastation they left in the forest, the Tanonimri forest, is still there uncovered. Now, because the company was not punished, a number, we counted over 500 miners in the Tanonimri forest as we speak. Over 500 of them, in fact, some of them Burkinabés. We spoke to them, they do not speak English, they speak French. And they are in there. And it will shock you to know that they are not using excavators this time, so they go unnoticed. They are using pickers and mattock. And the rate at which they are felling trees. I interviewed one of them. How do you fell such a big tree? And he said, it takes me 5 days. So they dig beneath the tree. They dig beneath the tree for 5 days, and boom, it goes down.
And that's the first illegality, because they cannot be doing that to the trees.
Yes, and they don't harvest it. They don't do anything to it. So when we flew the drone, you could see large tracts of the forest with trees lying down, rotting.
Please, let's have the footage roll as Erastus is speaking. Let's have the footage, mute the voice, and let's have it roll as you're speaking. Please go on.
And something, if you know the Samurai Boy area very well, the only livelihood, the only company that gives people jobs in that area is Samatex. That's the wood logging company. And where this is happening and where Akonta went is part of their concession. Trees they've been cutting and growing for years have been now felled with reckless abandon. And wherever we go, you see the emboldened illegal miners, some of them within forests. We've gone to a number of forests that the president says have been cordoned off. And there is no cordoning off in any way. They are in there. One of them approached us, told us that, well, he cannot do any job apart from that. He believes that this is chop and chop. So we should not do the story, and he's going to give us every 2 weeks, he will make sure that we get some money in our pocket. Well, I'm saying it now because we are going to fly the story very soon. And you know where this man is hiding in a forest with excavators cutting down a number of trees and doing illegal mining in there. So wherever we are going, we are seeing impunity, and mining is happening in the full glare, all in the western region. Awaso, in the forest over there, we saw a number of excavators in there. We go to Mrewa, Seshubekwai, in there are people in the forest there mining. There's a place I've forgotten the name now. It's closer to Seshubekwai. It's a big forest, and they are in there. So I asked one DC, why are you not arresting them? Why are you not doing this? He tells me that, well, some of these people come with all manner of excuses.
Erastus, hold on. The footage that we just see go by, we are seeing, that's what you call, is it the Shamfan that we see on
this one, okay, what I'm seeing on my screen right now is the excavator.
No, that just went past, you know. In the water bodies on the river, we are coming back to there. You see this thing, it looks like some mini Shamfans or so. I was seeking to ask you, because as far as we understand, there are no Shamfans anymore in this country on any river. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this what you're seeing right now is on the Tano River.
Okay, what's it?
Yeah, this is the Shamfan machine.
Shamfan machine.
Yes, it's mounted on a raft, and you see the long pole they are using to dig into the riverbed.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have paid a lot of focus and attention to this area. Have we not been told that you won't find a single Shamfan on any water body in this country today?
Well, whoever said it perhaps is tickling himself and laughing. Maybe he's in a different world, a different planet. Go to the Ofin River as we speak. Fly your drone over the river in areas like Abumpe, Abesia, and Beposo. They are there. Over 200 of them sitting on the river mining. Go to, we rode on the Ankobra River for
Tell me you are exaggerating this. Tell me you are exaggerating this. Over 200 Shamfans and a machine that has been declared completely illegal, and that we can't find a single one of them in this country. There are as many as over 200, and those in charge cannot see.
But something, even on our way to some of these river bodies, new Shamfans are being built by the roadside. Where are they taking them? They are building them, as we speak. It's by the roadside. You see them mounting them by the roadside. They are selling them. What do they use it for? To mail maize or what? We went on the Ankobra, like I was saying. We were in a boat. We wanted to know how the Ankobra is being polluted. And that was after the deputy minister came up with these false images of the Ankobra clearing. And you see at Duale on the river, Ankobra, there is a host of Shamfan machines sitting on the river there. You go to Anwolenzo, you see a number of Shamfans on the Ankobra at that point. There are some at Banso as well. You go to Dominase after the bridge on the Ankobra, there are some sitting on it there. Go to Pristia, Bogoso, right just a few meters from under the bridge. On the Ankobra, there are Shamfans, a number of them sitting there. And I'm not just saying it, we have videos that we picked, and they are there. If you search for my video from the Ankobra River, the true nature of the Ankobra, you will see these videos. They are there. So nobody is painting any picture. Now, Shamfans are being used more on the major rivers. A number of them we saw at various points. And the DC himself confirms it to me that, yes, the Shamfans are sitting on the river, but his excuse is that the river has stones in it. And so the Navy, when they came to drive them away recently, they lost some of their men. So he's looking for equipment to remove the stones
Okay.
And then they will get a boat.
Erastus, the more we do this, the more depressed I get. But you see, it's not easy to give up on this country. I said a while ago to some friends, because look, and these people are destroying themselves, destroying everybody else in the process. So Erasmus, from what you have seen, what will be the 1 or 2 recommendations you make so that we can take leave of you? You can take leave of us.
The people should rise up. If you know that this devastating effects, they have health impact, dire health consequences. We went to Atrebuanda yesterday, and something, the river is the only source of water. And so what they do, they sell a lot of alum in that area, and I was asking them what they use it for. They fetch the water, and they use the alum to separate the particle.
Oh, no.
And they try to use it. So I told them they use it to wash their utensils, they use it to wash their clothes, and I asked them, are you drinking this?
Erasmus, thank you very much. Thank you. And we continue to pray with you and hope that you are safe. You are not sponsored by the state, so to speak, so you don't have security around you. Even when you have done good work, people who now can claim that they can become presidents of this country have sat on national TV to threaten you that you should be beaten up. You know, I mean, that's the joke we make of this very serious country, otherwise serious country. How does it get that way? A member of parliament, sitting member of parliament, who the president finds and deems fit to be head of a committee as serious as regarding security matters in parliament, has a record of threatening people on live TV, threatening journalists, and they get killed. You know, there's a journalist doing this job for this country, and he threatens him, says how he'll whip him up, how he'll beat, he says beat the hell out of him. Because what has he done? He's just going there and showing you what is going wrong. That's all. That's his crime. All right. Anyway, some of my guests are here. Joseph Zindiok-Pemka, former Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice and former MP for Tempane. The Honorable Yunusa Fuseni, former Ranking Member, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of the 7th Parliament of Ghana. Martin Pebu will join us via Zoom, and another lawyer may also join us via Zoom to help us with the discussions. But I just want, we wanted this to be like part of my take session. We just have a commentary, journalists just talk and move away. But I can't see you especially having been in this area, in the sector, and all of us having come to know what you suffered as a result of this. Okay, I'll come to you. I understand that we have a little difficulty with your microphone. Now, Penka, is it because we are in towns, we sit in Accra, we can afford bottled water, so-called purified water? Is that the reason we can't, with all the powers of the state, awesome powers of the state and resources, we can't fight and win, you know, over illegal mining by a very small minority community of this country?
Thank you very much, Samson. And my big brother is here. Good morning to him.
Good morning.
The cherished viewers, particularly to the good people of my constituency, Timpane. Samson, I have sat here with you, and I stated, and I want to repeat today, that the fight against Galamsey is more difficult than the fight against corruption. I have said that, and I repeat that the fight against corruption is less difficult compared to the fight against Galamsey, and that we are nowhere near winning the battle against Galamsey. In fact, I will say that we have just started the battle. Go to the rural areas. You and I come from up north. At this time of the year, Samson, the majority of the young men are not at home. They're all down, looking for gold. I made a statement recently, and I said that even education in some of the areas being affected greatly because the young ones are no longer prepared to go to school. They want to cut corners and do galamsey and make money. I was telling a story, and I know as I state this, it will be discussed in some villages. A young man came home recently with a Land Cruiser, V8, with 3 guards. What is his work? Galamsey. You have a mass movement of the young ones from the rural areas to the Galamsey communities. And I have not, to the best of my knowledge and belief, heard of any arrest of those people. They all come back home to acquire assets and put up houses. Samson, the fight against Galamsey, we haven't scratched it. It is a fact.
But you see what you just mentioned. And like I said, guys, because this is sort of a part of my take, I have the right to run my commentary. So, my village, Gambibgo, there is a dam.
Yes.
That dam has been drying up for a while now. When that dam was there, and I had the opportunity to live in the village for upwards of 3 years, during the dry season, we had a source of livelihood.
Yes.
We will go, do irrigation, tomato, all the other, leaves, and we'll get money out of it. But now that dam is dried. So what do you want that man who also the rains have not been as reliable, who didn't really get anything during the, rainy season? How do they survive?
There are so many alternatives, to be honest with you. I know that one of the ways is to put back that particular dam you're talking about and many others in shape to ensure that we attract these ones to stay there and work. That's one of the ways. But let me give you an example. As we speak, when you go to a place like Agogo in the Ashanti region, a large number of young men from the north have migrated there and they are doing onion farming. As we speak, some of them have transplanted, others are nursing seedlings and all that. And then by July, August, they harvest and they make a lot of money without any destruction of the environment. But you see, the difference is that whatever they are going to make out of that is far less than what the Galamseya will make over a period of a week or even 2.
That's why the state has a responsibility to redirect their energies and attention. First of all, sanctioning the wrong and also providing the proper livelihood alternatives.
Again, I agree with you, but this is the difficulty. And let me state this. You see, he indicated that they even use drones at certain points to be able to capture some of the devastations that actually went on. Let me indicate this to you, that some of the areas where the Galamsey is going on, it will be difficult for even the security to have access. Because you have about 30 kilometers outside of the road that a vehicle can fly into the bush. Somebody is there. How are you even going to know that the person is there? If not for maybe the help of a drone, that you'll be able to sight these people.
If a journalist will know, the security must know better.
No, that's what I'm indicating to you is that what Erastus has actually reported.
Erastus with multimedia vehicle pickup can access those places. They must have better access.
This is why, you see, what Erastus is reporting, let me be honest with you, he probably hasn't reported 30% of devastation. That's what I'm trying to indicate to you. He hasn't reached certain areas where the devastation is going on even beyond what he would have contemplated. So, to be honest with you, we are just looking at it by the roadside. Some of the pictures that were shown are by towns and villages and all that. But some of them are deep in the forest, deep in areas where we have not had access routes. And they can walk for 20 kilometers with food and go and stay in there, that you won't have access unless maybe you use drones. So it is a very difficult fight, really, to be able to win.
Honorable Minister Hussaini, so here, we have seen champagnes and he's talking about them in the hundreds. How can there be any excuse by the duty bearers for that? Are Chamfans allowed for legal mining?
Samson, first of all, I think I need to thank you. I was listening to you, and I could see something of annoyance when Erasmus was reporting, and a level of exasperation. I mean, you nearly threw your hands in the air.
No, I'm in a country where my president says he's put his presidency on the line. And even that this is the result?
Yes, and so I perfectly understand you. And anybody who has been committed to the fight against this level of illegalities in our mining sites will be annoyed. It's entitled to be annoyed. My brother Kwenka, long time. I've not seen you for a very long time. But Kwenka, what is happening in the mining sites is simply a manifestation of corruption. So if you say that fighting corruption might be more easier than fighting galamsey, you are stating that the fight against corruption can never be succeeded.
A patriot like Professor Frimpong Boateng is trying to help.
Yes.
Look how he's being mauled by his own people, even at the presidency.
So fighting galamsey, just like fighting corruption.
And now he's being scared with, nuisance suits.
What has even aggravated the situation is because of the corrupt activities of officials closer to government. So it's corruption. Back to your question. Chamfans are not, by the laws of this country, permitted on water bodies. So if you see a Chamfan anywhere on any water body, that's an illegality. Simply, prima facie, that's illegality. And it's one of those strict liability offenses. The only time that you can see a machine on a water body is when the machine or when authorities are doing legal dredging. And even with that, you recall that when in around 2006, there was some dredging carried out by government, people were brought to buy the sand because they didn't want it to go waste. That's dredging. There is no any other way that a contraption like Chamfan can be on the water body. And so, in 2013 or thereabouts, 2012, 2013, when I visited Chichewere and I went to see the River Pra, I saw 5 Chamfans on the River Pra. I was in the company of the district chief executive. And then the Govilo Lati, who was then the national security advisor, was also there. I simply could not understand how a district chief executive could pretend over the commission of an illegality. And he could not pretend not to know of the existence of the Chamfan on the water body. In fact, when we returned to Accra, I recommended that he be sanctioned. And he was sacked from office. Because you need to approach the fight against galamsey, against illegal mining, as if you are confronting a foreign enemy. Why? Because galamsey and illegal mining attacks all the facets of our life. You recall when we were in Parliament, we had to debate the threat by the European Union of banning cocoa exports from Ghana. Why? Because we had breached the sanitary and phytosanitary conditions. Simply put, they had found that we had not met the standards and that there were traces of elements in our cocoa beans. That was striking at the economic heart, foundation of this country. Now, Dr. Sampeni, and even before Dr. Sampeni, we had known that hard metals, when they lodge in the body, cause havoc, cause destruction, cause cancers, interfere with the development of babies. And we had known that. And I say that anybody who visits hospitals in the mining areas will be left in no doubt that we have to do something against Galamsey.
Give us an idea what you mean by when you visit hospitals in the mining area.
When you go to Obuasi, when you go to even to what's the name of that place? Kibi.
What do you see?
You will see deformities. Babies born with deformities. I mean, short lip. Okay, big head. I mean, you will see babies
abnormally big head.
Abnormally big head. Okay, the pregnancy complications because of the development. Anything that impedes the development, because nature is saying that at times
these people live in communities where this is happening.
This is happening.
They have chiefs. They have local authority, political leadership. So the leadership has failed. The chiefs have failed.
So that's why I have always said that fighting Galamsey should be a multi-stakeholder responsibility. Now you get all of us involved, everybody. But the responsibility, the primary responsibility, lies with government. First of all, lies with government to be able to bring together all the stakeholders. Second, to demonstrate that it is really committed, because it is government, it is the president who swears on the Bible, in the case of our presidents that we have had so far, to uphold the laws of this country. So any president has a responsibility to uphold the laws of the country. So enforcement is a duty.
Operation Vanguard all started well, didn't they? And then they got infiltrated or hijacked. The military officers, their bosses who are supposed to ensure, some of them were now rather the ones who are pushing these things.
You know what that happened? When water stays in the bottle for long, it gets what? So that's why you need a multi-stakeholder approach.
We are told of military officers who have left the military, resigned, so that they can go and do Galamsey. After they have gone there, their bosses have sent them there, and they've been sending money to them weekly or monthly.
Yes, so that is why you don't rely on only law and order.
So what's wrong with us?
Because we're not getting the strategy right. The strategy to fight Galamsey, I mean, I went to Chichire, the communities there, people there.
Is that scary?
It's scary.
Let me tell you something. A young man told me that he put up a house for someone who was aiding him to do Galamsey. I am telling you this.
So that's the corruption we're talking about.
Somebody aided him to do Galamsey. He put up a house for that person in Accra.
Yeah. You see, so Samson.
You know what? Honorable. You know that these big people, so to speak, when the media gets to do some story and their name, they are so quick to run to the court to file a suit.
File suits.
Now, I've discovered something which is true. Look, it is not everything that you take to court, and it's not everything that, what the court pronounces is actually the reality.
Yeah, because of the evidence issue.
So some of them, they are in fact involved. But because you cannot exactly trace them to it, they are using people who are fronting.
Yes.
They are not using themselves, their names and stuff. You can't. So the least thing you say about
beneficial
them,
ownership type of thing. They don't see them actually in the
yes, so it's not everything that you send to court. But the judiciary, where are they? They are sitting in their homes, far removed from the Galamsey sites. You need a national security minister, or the president, or somebody to conscientize them to know exactly what is happening, so that they can appreciate. If not, if they are going to follow the strict requirements of the law.
Officially, over 50,000 Chinese nationals have flooded this country. We keep arresting them in the hundreds. What happens?
And so, if Chinese nationals are, and that's why I spearheaded the amendment review of the Minerals and Mining Act because the laws were so weak. I mean, you could arrest an illegal miner, he goes to court, he's fined, he pays there and goes back the next day. So we said, well.
And when the president supervised the further amendment,
yes.
You remember what he said? That we don't want to leave the discretion to the judges.
Yes. So
because
the discretion of sentencing to the judges, and so we can't trust them. But you don't, when that thing happened, when a special assistant at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources aided and abetted somebody to commit an illegal activity in the mining sites, they chose not to charge him with the offense under the Minerals and Mining Act. They chose to charge him under the Criminal and Other Offences Act, and that was defrauded by false.
The law is as good as it is implemented. Interesting, but really very depressing. Okay, so we'll move on from here. This was intended to be sort of a preliminary thing, but
Samson,
clearly it's most important.
Look, the whole country is covered. So when you enter this country, if you're a foreign object and you enter this country, we know. So you cannot say that people in the deep of the forest are beyond the watch of the country. No, that's the first thing. Second thing is that why do we have drones? You know, it was on this your platform. I think you were hosting the program over there in your old building when I said that we should look at the possibility of introducing drones. I was lambasted. Why? I had gone to Holland and I had seen Malaysia use that technology. Not that the technology will fight the galamsey, but the technology will give them real-time information. Location of where the galamseyers are, so that the military...
Some of these recent stories, babies in galamsey areas are being born with one eye, without genitalia. Death by dust. Illegal gold miners in Ghana dying from irreversible lung damage. You know?
So you got real-time information, so you can go on.
So we are not saying that nothing has been done. We all can see that the fight was elevated. However, what is the use if the end does not show us that the fight is making any progress?
I think I
so, Mr. President, you put your presidency on the line. By the evidence, you should be hanging up because it hasn't worked.
It's a small point I want to make about this matter. Senior, you see, I think what happens, and we have to change from today, is that when we go and clear these people from the sites, there is no way of following up to ensure they don't come back. That's the weakness I have identified.
The Minerals Commission boss has been on this platform.
Yes.
He was here the last time. Spent time here. He's been on Joy FM spending, many, minutes. And he insists that largely they have done a great job. I say such heads of regulatory entities must be the first port of call by the president to show us that he's serious. They have actually bought the drones. No excavator is supposed to move to a mining site without the Minerals Commission's knowledge, because money is being paid regularly for tracking devices. So that if a machine moves, you must know real time where the machine is going. So all these people, you sack them. Empower these places with people who can do the job and show you the result. If you can't show us the result but talk, you sack them.
Empower your district chief executives. Let them work with the district secretary. Get them to report directly to you if you're really committed. Because the district chief executive cannot pretend not to know about illegal mining activities in his district.
The district chief executive, the money that should go to the district, gets spent in Accra. They are part of the common fund. When it comes, it is time for it to be disbursed. They get zero.
That's what I'm saying.
And they will talk to us privately, but they won't speak up.
Empowering them means that
there will be duplication of sanitation programs. That the presidency here will determine that in my village in Gambingo, a certain Zoom Lion or something must do a certain sanitation program there when they don't need it. Okay, and they would have paid upfront in Accra, and then they'll say there's no money to give you. So how?
They will say that they have spent your money has been spent in doing A, B, C, D, just like the 1 million per constituency.
Okay, I really meant it when we said we are ending this year. Thank you very much. We will return with my guests, including Martin Pebu, Justice Ramsay, or is it Oliver Bakavomawo, to help with the discussion on the Domelevo matter and Asin North, and then later we will look at the matter of the presidential. 10 people who want to be president, and the party is seeking to see if they can get a consensus candidate. They started the meetings yesterday, we are told by Hakman Owusu Ajiman. Will that work to get a consensus candidate? Well, if that doesn't work, then there's going to be a super delegates conference of, is it 900 people who will filter the candidates to 5. You are supposed to get at least 150 votes to cross the hurdle. And then later, there will be the main congress where we are told 230,000 will gather to now elect who becomes the flag bearer of the NPP. How will that go? And why is the NDC taking risk in the Asin North? We'll answer all of those.
And I wrote to the office of the president to draw their attention to the unconstitutionality or the unlawfulness of the directive from the president. I was told it's because I'm not a lawyer, I don't appreciate the law. And I'm happy that those in whose mouths, in whose bosom recite the interpretation of the constitution and the laws of the country have affirmed my position.
The window small. Your room be too bright, oh.
Why, you be vampire where you know they like sunlight?
Oh, my guy, my eyes, behind the PC problem, in the sun problem, common light bulb stuff.
This no matter. I beg go Robert and Sons. Oh yeah, then my chick to him, I know correct, cry. Where Robert and Sons sort them out sharp. Now so stylish frames in the rock.
We go Robert and Sons right in. No, I was sitting inside proper.
For over 25 years, Robert & Sons continues to provide specialist eye care for both adults and children. Locate us at Adabraka, Adenta, Kumasi, Usudankwa, Tema, Weja, and East Legon. Call 050-151-9111. Robert & Sons, seeing is believing.
Oh, Charlie, close the window small. Your room be too bright, oh.
Why, you be vampire where you know they like sunlight?
Oh, my guy, my eyes, behind the PC problem, in the sun problem, common light bulb stuff.
This no matter. I beg go Robert and Sons. Oh yeah, then my chick to him, I know correct, cry. Where Robert and Sons sort them out sharp. Now so stylish frames in the rock.
We go Robert and Sons right in. No, I was sitting inside proper.
For over 25 years, Robert & Sons continues to provide specialist eye care for both adults and children. Locate us at Adabraka, Adenta, Kumasi, Usudankwa, Tema, Weja, and East Legon. Call 050-151-9111. Robert & Sons, seeing is believing.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa, we are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
With them, they are dear seal, factory. And some can introduce DBS lifestyle gauge trusses. Emma, they say, baby, I say, Yama, minimum the day. And you know, you would dance. And no crow, no sending me a benina, and your papa. So, DBS lifestyle gauge trusses. Yet the computer not generated. Into Edna didn't go a straight. And if you say, I am not guilty, and want to mean the enemy. A good answer, after ball. Finito. More musicians saw that. More music factories, and I said, Dark is Biano. me recommend DBS trust amamo. DBS trust. We need to.
Hey, Charlie, what number? The malaria really knocked you down, eh?
Charlie, no joke. Fever, headache, vomiting, loss of appetite. I couldn't even eat my usual fufu.
You and your fufu. But I hope you got tested before the malaria treatment.
Yes, I did. And thanks to Malatu, I kicked out malaria one time.
When malaria strikes, take Malatu, containing artemether and lumefantrine. Comes in tablets and suspension for effective treatment of malaria.
Great to have you back.
Thank you. No problem.
Malatu is suitable for adults and children. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Joy News, your most credible news source, is available on digital TV, Multi TV, DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and also streaming on myjoyonline.com.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile we put Ghana first. And a guest who have been helping us and will be helping us to continue with the discussion, the Honorable Joseph Dindiok Penka, former Deputy Attorney General and Deputy Minister for Justice, former MP for Timpane. Inusa Fuseni, former ranking member, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of the 7th Parliament. He was former minister, and he is a former minister. And Martin Pebu is lawyer and activist. There are a few other people who will join us to look at the issues that we are canvassing for you. Just a few of your comments. Paulina Crunchy says, Penka says the security agencies can't get to Galamsey areas when journalists can get there. Politics can cloud people's minds so much that they speak anyhow. I think he gave a context to it. DKS Francis says Erastus Osaridonko has fought illegal mining than the entire government. He has exposed it than the entire government. Kwame Nkrumah says, what Erastus is reporting is 100% accurate. I used the Abuabo Ayamfure bypass even up to Dieso last week, and I was shocked to see hundreds of people mining by the roadside as if they were just farming. It was terrible. Nana K said top government officials are deeply involved, of course. That is why people are bold to do what they are doing. Your comment ties in Dr. Clement Apak, MP for Bulsa South. He says, how can we fight Galamsey when people at the presidency are alleged to be involved? These boys and girls in the field are working for financiers and their political beneficiaries. These guys can't buy excavators. Of course, we know that. They can't buy even some of the shovels that they hold. Can't buy excavators, champagnes, the mercury, etc. As long as those we pay with our taxes to protect our environment and resources, including our forests and water bodies, are beneficiaries of doing the opposite, the situation cannot get better. What we need is a true citizen rebellion against the corrupt and compromised officialdom. I support that any day. It's the only way, because officialdom is compromised, including government officials, agency staff, and elements in the security agencies. Right, that is clearly noted. Edmund says, my brother, I hope you are well. I'm watching you and I'm weeping for our motherland. I share in your pain and depression. Why, Ghana? Why? Yeah, just this other one. You don't identify yourself, but you say that the docility and gullibility of Ghanaians is sickening. If the president said he put his presidency on the line and evidence available shows people around him are culpable, Martin Pebu has called on Ghanaians to force the president to resign. What are we seeing? Insult upon insult on his person. We are comfortable looking on. Sad. All right, that's where I'll pause the messages, but my production has just shared one more. Nana Yao says President Nana Addo has really disappointed us. Being in his last term, he is the best person to fight this Galamsey menace since he doesn't have much to lose in terms of re-election. Let's really hope that he will get back on this subject and fight it head on. Promise Domevi says Galamsey has defeated the president and his vice. The destruction of our environment is unbelievable, and the effects will forever hang on the necks of this present government. Well, it's been going on for how long? So I think it's only good to be fair to the facts, isn't it? And finally, you say there is other unseen impact of Galamsey which nobody talks about, and that's the ecological impact of Galamsey. Well, we talk about it. As a molecular ecologist, I know we can lose or have probably lost vital, beneficial organisms that are essential for the maintenance of ecological balance, loss of which could result in an ecological catastrophe. Thank you all so very much. Now, let's go to begin with our next issue that we are seeking to canvass for you. So, as you know, I'm going to begin by reading a statement. And this statement was issued on October 26, 2020. It's titled, CSOs Go to Supreme Court Over Auditor General Daniel Domelevo's Forced Leave. I'm reading from the CDD Ghana website. It says the undersigned civil society organizations, CSOs, represented by our lawyers, have today, Monday the 26th of October 2020, filed a writ at the Supreme Court challenging the June 29, 2020 directive of the President that has sent the Auditor General, Mr. Daniel Domelevo, on involuntary leave since Wednesday, 1st July 2020. The President has appointed Mr. Johnson Ekwamoa Siedu, an officer of the Auditor's Audit Service, to act as Auditor General during the 167 working days that the Auditor General is supposed to be away on forced leave. It will be recalled that on the 7th of July 2020, a coalition of CSOs called a press conference in response to the President's action and issued an appeal to the President to rescind his directive to the Auditor General. The coalition of CSOs, which included the undersigned organizations, expressed grave concern over the constitutional and governance implications of the President's action. Both the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, INTOSAI, and the English-speaking section of the African Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, AFOSAI-E, also implored the President to reconsider his decision. We indicated at the July 7 press conference that we would consider recourse to legal action to defend the Constitution and the independence of the Auditor General should it become necessary. We had hoped that the President would reconsider his decision in light of the deleterious effect of his action on public accountability and the fight against waste and corruption in the management of public finances. Unfortunately, that has not happened. Instead, certain developments since the Auditor General was forced to leave his office have only gone to worsen the situation, leaving us with no option but to seek the intervention of the courts. It is our fervent hope that through this legal action, we can safeguard the independence of the Office of the Auditor General and all independent constitutional offices established under the Constitution of the Fourth Republic, so that they can discharge their lawful mandates effectively without fear or favor, and thereby play their respective part in our collective effort to build and strengthen the pillars of constitutionalism, checks and balances, and accountability in Ghana. And the CSOs are: 1, the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Citizen Ghana Movement, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Parliamentary Network Africa, Pemples Bites, Media Foundation for West Africa, MFWA, Send Ghana, and One Ghana Movement. Signed. Thank you very much. Now, let's begin with the lawyer who was leading the onslaught in court. Martin Kpebu, thank you very much for your time. Hello, Martin.
Yes, hi, Sam. Good morning.
Good morning. Great. Great to have you. Congratulations for a good job done. But citizens are asking very critical questions. Your reliefs that you were seeking from the courts included to prevent the president from doing what he had done, so that Daniel Domelevo will not be on forced leave, not to talk about continuing to constitute a removal from office or retirement. So, did you get what you sought?
We didn't get all, and when I say we didn't get, you are inclusive. You are part of the legal team. So is lawyer Sankuma, Professor Prempe, Dr. Kujo Asante, both of CDD, Kofi Bento, Nick Opoku, etc., Corey and Co. So all of us inclusive. We didn't get all, but you know, like we say, from the Bible to our culture, half a loaf is better than none. And look, I must say, Sam, this particular brief was such a difficult one. I was really scared that we're going to lose the case, right? Because you know that this is a frontal attack, really frontal, a real frontal attack on the president's, his governance system and everything. So I thought we were not going to, win. But the Supreme Court has shown that yes, they really have, excuse my French, the balls to do it. So on this occasion, we allowed the Supreme Court, we will commend them for a job well done. And earlier in the day, I'll say that Justice Doche had referred to our calling them unanimous FC. That name is rich them, they know it. So when he was doing Sremsai's case, a case in which you are even one of the plaintiffs, right? The COVID restrictions case.
Please stop exposing me.
you are one of the plaintiffs, right? You and Professor Tia. So in your case, the COVID restrictions case, when he finished, then he told Sremsai, so today when you go out there, I'm sure you are not going to call us unanimous FC in a derogatory manner. Yes, that's how Justice Doche said. And it was good. I was happy that, they refer to it. People are criticized, and they are saying that, look, we can take criticism, okay? We like it because it helps the way.
Yeah, people like you, people like the names you have mentioned, Sankuma, they don't hit the court without faith, beyond faith, without being convinced on the points of law they are making. So I don't know why you seem to suggest that you were not too sure. But the point is, Ghanaians are asking, now what? Domelevo has long been asked through extrajudicial means. The Supreme Court said the president erred. How many years after the fact? So what?
Oh, Sam, yeah. This one, you've caught me. I thought, I'd given my promise that I was not going to talk about the case frontally, except to laud the actions of the CSO, CDD, Ghana Integrity Initiative, One Ghana Movement, all the other organizations coming together. I thought I was going to limit myself so that I will let other lawyers talk about the merits, so that today I'm like some magnanimity.
Okay, so I've asked you a specific question, answer it. And I am clearly aware that one of the judges said you shouldn't go to the media and comment about it. I don't think there's a constitutional basis for that kind of order to you. It's a void order to you. It's your discretion to do what you have to do. The court is functus officio after it has given its judgment. And in fact, when you are commenting and you are not commenting contentiously, You are exercising your constitutional right, and nobody can take that away from you, my friend.
Oh, Sam, no, you're a strong man. Oh, dear. So, middle of the road, yes, the Supreme Court is done a good job on this occasion. So, I'm just so overwhelmed by what they've done. Yeah, so if we say so what, and we are grateful to their lordships, okay? So I'll do middle of the road. Yes, you see that going forward, the decision is landmark because it's beginning to chart a new path. Because you know that, Sam, by this one decision, we can't just say, so what? You know, there are 7 constitutional, independent constitutional bodies, right, in the Constitution. So with this decision on the Auditor General, it means that impliedly it's going to affect all the other 6. So if we mention, so we are looking at, apart from the Auditor General, we have the Judicial Service, we have the Lands Commission, almighty EC, the National Media Commission, BOG that couldn't hold that was spineless, and last year, financed the government with about $40 billion, which helped to spike inflation. So this decision too will help BOG in its independence. You can check the IMF report where the IMF berated the BOG for its weakness. It couldn't hold its own against the government. So this is a decision that will help. So it means that we are helping to cut back on the autocratic, tendencies of our presidents. Because that's always been the bane of our democracy, that we've given too much power to an executive president under Article 58 and Article 57. I know that's largely to blame for a lot of our problems because, this constitution was made, from my understanding, Professor Hoy and Co., to appease J.J. Rawlings. So as soon as J.J. Rawlings was out of the picture, we were to take steps to do a new constitution because that's what I believe, what is being said, that it was basically to appease him. So you see a lot of the powers going to the president. So if Rawlings was no longer in power, there was a need. And I'm sure that's why Professor Mills took the initiative to do constitutional review. Okay. And what have we done with it? So whatever it is, this Supreme Court decision is a landmark decision, is going to reshape our constitution to check the executive president.
My last question to you before you take a breather and then I go around and come, because we have to come back to you later, is a question that members of the public are asking. Are they justified in asking that question? That one of the grounds for removing the president from office is that he has breached the Constitution. In this situation, is there consequence? Has he breached the Constitution, and is there a consequence that should flow from it?
Sam, this is an ambush question. I wish I've been given this question maybe 24 hours.
It's all over on social media. You should have seen it. And known that I will ask it.
Breach of the Constitution. Because I come from the background of having held a full demonstration last year calling on President Kufuor to resign, you can imagine that straight away my biases would be to say yes. But on the other hand, too, I think this is not the first time, a certain government or a certain president has lost, and this one, yes, is the certain president who has lost the case, has lost a case in court. So quickly, my mind goes to the 31st December case. President Rawlings used government funds to celebrate 31st December for quite a number of years, right? And so when the Supreme Court held in the MPP versus Attorney General, that's the 31st December case, that the use of public funds to celebrate the 31st December coup was unconstitutional, I don't think there was much of any argument that Rawlings then had to be impeached. Okay. I'm not saying it is right, but I'm just saying that, so that's why I said this kind of question, I need some time to reflect.
All right. Okay, hold on and take a breather for us.
Let me also mention something. Yeah. Let me mention, I think also that how about the argument that constitutional decisions usually take a prospective effect. So this interpretation takes effect from the 31st of May. So I don't know if we can use it to apply.
Well, the man on the street, and I'm coming to Ines of Sin to begin with in the studio. The man on the street says, I'm watching Supreme Court decisions. In one decision, they have said Yachikwe Singh, for one reason or the other, was unlawfully elected. So he never existed. He has never been in parliament, really, in the face of the law. And the consequence has followed. The consequence is that his name should be expunged from the records of parliament. He loses his seat. There's going to be a by-election. So people are now extrapolating and asking, so this one, what is the consequence for the president's wrongful conduct in extrajudicially removing the Auditor General and then bringing in another, in a wrong way?
Well, I think that you are perfectly right in stating that the citizens are asking for an impeachment of the president. You see, you have a president who swears an oath of office. The oath of office says that he pledges or swears to uphold, and you can read the full text of the oath.
No, you go on. You are going out. Just
yes, and
making sure that you are quoting it right.
Yes. He upholds the Constitution and laws of the country. And here we have a president who, as a lawyer, the president should have known, at the time that he was taking the decision, he was treading on the verge of unconstitutionality. I mean, if you read Dua Ajiman's case, you come to the conclusion that Dua Ajiman was held to be a public officer. At Article 199, you can dismiss a public officer for want of better word, for the performance of his functions. You cannot be capricious in dismissing a public officer. The facts of Dumolo's case lend credence to the fact that the letter directing him to proceed on leave was consequent upon his attempt to audit, to hold public officials, and particularly government officials, accountable. So when you put all the circumstances together, and you wrote at that time that was a constructive dismissal. And even immediately after his removal or the directive that he should proceed on leave, they brought in an acting Auditor General who the next day cleared the Minister of State, or at that time Minister of State, because he was senior minister, now subsequently senior advisor to the president, of any wrongdoing. So you can see the nexus that this person was simply removed mala fide. The president had bad faith in removing the Dumblovo.
But is it legally tenable and sound to say that on the basis of the president's oath that he took, that he has broken the oath in which he said he will be faithful and true to the Republic of Ghana, and that he will at all times preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and that he says that should I at any time break this oath of office, I shall submit myself to the laws of the Republic of Ghana and suffer the penalty for it. This is the basis where some are making this claim. And I'm asking, is this legally sound that a president will take advice? Because we know that's what presidents do. Take advice all the time, they take steps. Advice or an action which he believes to be correct, then it is later invalidated by the court. Is that a breach of the Constitution? Is that a violation of his oath?
We are not holding his advisors vicariously responsible for the wrong advice they give the president. And the president must always know that the buck stops with him. And that if you are advised based on previous decisions of the court to sack an Auditor General, whose office is a creature of the Constitution, then as a president, you must think twice, especially when you have sworn the oath of office to protect, defend, and uphold the Constitution. And when you have said that if you break the Constitution, any provision of the Constitution, you submit yourself to the laws of the country.
I am president. I am activating the Constitution in belief that I'm doing the right thing. a court disagrees with me, does that mean I have breached the Constitution and must suffer a penalty for it?
Well, you think that only the court believed that he had breached the Constitution? People believed that what the president did was a breach, a fundamental and violent breach of the Constitution. They drew the president's attention to that. The president was adamant. In fact, when Domolovo himself drew the attention of the president to the fact that he was breaching the Constitution, it attracted the eye of the president. He escalated his leave. There is impunity. I'm actually waiting to read the judgment, whether the court will not describe that act as an act of impunity. Then proceeded on leave, barricaded his doors. I mean, what again do you think?
The president had lawyers who were advising him. Domelevo also had lawyers who were advising him. So if the two disagree...
So who were advising the CSOs?
And they also have their lawyers.
So you know, there was unanimity, and I mean in the public, and many people were taken aback. And I think that this is a good case where we should hold the president responsible.
So anytime the president takes an action, and the action is found to be unconstitutional or in violation of some law in this country, it means he has breached.
He must suffer the penalty.
He must be subject to impeachment.
He must suffer the penalty for that. He must suffer until we begin to hold our presidents responsible, accountable, and not give excuses for their acts of impunity. Then we are not going to make progress. That's why I don't think that this decision must be prospective.
Will that be different from ministers and state functionaries breaching the law here and there, police officers doing wrong, ministers and their deputies and all that, signing contracts, bringing us judgment, debt,
that's not different. That's not different. Ministers of state, what do we do? The Constitution says we put them to a vote of censure. So they cannot breach the laws with impunity. So Parliament is the institution that passes the laws. And so when the minister breaches the law, you bring him to Parliament to answer.
Is the test not willfulness in the conduct?
There's no willfulness.
It's willfulness.
Why? Why willfulness?
It's willfulness.
What willfulness?
Yes, let's hear you, Panka.
It's not willfulness.
You see, otherwise the law will be observed.
First of all,
completely observed.
What's willfulness?
You see,
when we say something is willful, it means that it is intentional.
That you know that this is
willful. It's intentional. Yes.
But he was doing it.
He knew that. He knew
that he was right.
So in fact, he was willful and reckless.
Okay, let's see if the Supreme Court will say that. Yes, Panka.
Samson, 30 seconds. I'm going to make reference to something. On the 9th of April 2009, this letter was written at the office of the President. His Excellency J.E.A. Mills. Accumulated leave, Mr. Edward Duajima. The records show that you have accumulated leave of approximately 264. Hold on.
How could you have not expected this? Please, let him talk. Yes, go on.
No. I'm saying that this letter is in the public domain.
Yes, so let him read. Let him read. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
It's just a few lines. Go ahead.
I am directed by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Evans Atta Mills, to request that you take the said leave with effect from Wednesday, April 15, 2009. His Excellency further directs that you hand over all matters relating to the Office of the Auditor General to Mr. Richard Courtey, Deputy Auditor General, who is by a copy of this letter requested to act as Auditor General until further notice. I'm drawing your attention to something. Now, on the 29th of June 2020, accumulated annual leave, Mr. Daniel Yao Domelevu. According to the records available to the office, you have accumulated annual leave of 123 working days, and that's directed by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to request that you take your accumulated annual leave of 123 working days, effect from Wednesday, 1st July 2020. Now, question, to the best of your knowledge, belief, or both, is there any court order or declaration that declared that what His Excellency President Neil uttered was unlawful and unconstitutional?
What question is that?
Wait.
No,
He's
I want to know.
Question to himself. So
yeah, that's so.
Is it a rhetorical question?
Yeah, rhetorical.
Okay.
You should be answering.
My answer is that none. That specific letter was not challenged in court.
It was challenged.
Hold it.
PCRP for it challenged.
No. I'm talking about. I know of the PCRP for its case.
So
I'm talking about the effect of
the
this
consequence
letter.
of the letter.
The effect of the letter.
The consequences of the letter was challenged in court.
Namely that.
Yes.
When this particular letter was written to Joe Ajima and he proceeded on leave, the question I am asking today is the declaration that was made recently with respect to the proceed on leave letter by His Excellency Nana Addo, and the fact that a declaration was made by the Supreme Court that that particular directive or letter was unconstitutional, specific. I'm saying that precedents guides governance. And so if President guides governance, and His Excellency the President in his judgment wrote this particular letter and said proceed on leave, and which has now been declared to be unconstitutional. And at the time of writing the letter, His Excellency the President was exercising his executive power, which is given to him by the Constitution. And he did it knowing very well in him that what he was doing was right and in consonance and on all fours with the Constitution, which has later been declared null and void. Are you able to establish that at the time of writing this particular letter and asking the person to proceed on leave, the President was deliberate and willful and knew that what he was doing was unconstitutional and went ahead to do it?
How and at what point?
Are you able to establish that?
How and at what point do we determine judicially that a conduct of the President is in violation of the Constitution?
I mean, if you put it before the court makes a pronouncement.
Yes, so the court has done in this case.
Yes. So I'm saying that the court's pronouncement will now guide us.
Without consequence.
No, but the court, you see, one thing I have to state also is that, unfortunately, all three of us are lawyers. You know that there have been landmark cases in this country that we go to court for just declarations, after that we go celebrating, and no consequential orders are made. Salah is one. And other cases which have followed. So in this particular case, it was for probably the plaintiffs to seek certain release. And you remember that...
To seek a relief for the impeachment of the President?
No, not impeachment of the President.
No, they are talking about reliance on the judgment that the President acted unconstitutional. He was wrong. On the basis of that, they say he has breached the Constitution. So, once he has violated it...
And the point is this. Again, you know, if there is a breach, and you want to trigger the process of removal of the President, there's a process.
That's correct.
Yeah. There's a process. And you also need certain numbers, even in Parliament.
No, but what we're interrogating here now is that, is this a basis for triggering impeachment?
My position is that it is not.
Okay.
And I have stated the reason why it is not. I'm saying that it must be willful. Because if I say that, for example, I acted in good conscience and I acted in manners that was in the interest of the country, I did not actually have in contemplation that my act will be unlawful at the end. And remember that it is only the Supreme Court that has the power to declare that your act is unconstitutional. So after litigation, they have declared that the act of the President is unconstitutional and etc. When in fact, and in belief, at the time of actually writing this letter, he was convicted that what he was doing was in conformity with the Constitution. So you cannot establish that willfulness. So I'm saying that it is not the basis, it cannot be the basis to trigger the removal of the President.
Is it
but if you do, then of course you must comply with the dictates of the Constitution.
Is it important to, is this noteworthy that, well, this is a civil process after all. So if there's no pronouncement on the back of it, that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
So, when will you ever get the President pronounced by a court? And that pronouncement can be used as the basis for him breaching his oath and breaching the Constitution, and therefore has to suffer the penalty for it, which is what he swore to. Because the President, whilst he's in office, is not even liable to a suit. He can't be prosecuted for any crime or anything. So when will we ever get a court make a pronouncement that affects the President while he sits in office?
It's very interesting because of the constitutional architecture. And again, I heard Martin say it, and I agree with him. that if you look at the transition from the military junta to civilian, we did some concessions in the constitution in the name of inviting democracy.
Right.
We did some concessions. So probably we need to have a take at the constitution if we have to actually actualize what we intend. Otherwise, what we're going to have here is that in the end, you are going to put this remember that it's going to go to parliament if you want to go to impeachment processes and all that. And when you trigger it there, the debate will be carried out.
So, Samson, can I
just briefly, because I need to make progress.
I've listened to this logic of the argument of inviting Dua Jiman to us as a rationalization strategy for the decision of the Supreme Court. Dua Jiman went to the court. Dua Jiman's removal was said to be legal. The circumstances of Dua Jiman are totally different from the circumstances surrounding Dumbulovo. It will be a stupid argument to try to equate Dua Jiman's removal with Dumbulovo's removal. The president's conduct was willful to the extreme because his attention had been drawn to the potential unconstitutionality of his act. And he then acted with impunity. He decided that he would ignore the fact that his attention had been drawn to the unconstitutionality. A president who was intending to leave by his oath of office would have paused to look critically at decisions of the court and to advise himself on what to do, knowing very well that it has consequences. 3, constitutional matters, most constitutional decisions are declaratory decisions.
Right.
And because they are declaratory, when they so declare, consequential actions can follow. The court itself can make consequential orders, or the victorious party can take consequential actions.
Okay.
And so that is what declarations do. So when the court said the president had acted unconstitutionally, then the consequential action is he faces the wrath of the people.
Right. But
thirdly, the Supreme Court ought to have decided this case with the agency that it was required. You see, this is brutal Freeman.
Brutal Freeman?
Yes. Look, I tell you.
But this precedent.
If you have a president, a future president, in the mold of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who knows that a decision of the Supreme Court will take 3 years, that president will act with impunity. So that's why the Supreme Court had to attach the urgency and attention to the breach of the Constitution that it has done. And future presidents, if they are minded to guide, and that is why we must take consequential actions on the president, so that future presidents will know that if they violate the Constitution with impunity, they will suffer the penalty.
So hold on, let me end it on this note. Martin, hello Martin. Hello Martin.
Yes.
Okay, so so Martin, there's a question I want to ask you, but before that I want you to deal with this. And the question I want to ask you is about the potential consequence that people are raising, that if this is the pronouncement, then the appointment that was made of the person who is in office now is equally unlawful and unconstitutional. So what is that person's locus? The present Auditor General, what is his locus? But the question before that is what Honorable Inus of Seni mentions. The delay. Who caused them?
Okay, Sam, I think to be fair to the Supreme Court, part of it is on them and part also of it on me. Yeah, so there's, when you file, there are processes. The AG will take some time to file, right? And the AG took, and also part is on the Attorney General, yes. So everybody, there's enough blame to go around. So
sometimes the Attorney General, it takes them forever to reply you.
Yes, I remember when we were doing the fight on disclosure like this criminal disclosure. It took them 8 months. Yeah, the AG, I know they are constrained. The finance minister has to give.
Please don't make excuses for them. Don't make excuses for them.
You have always been.
Oh, well, anyway, we'll leave that. So this one, Sam, part of it on me, part on AG, part 2 on the court. Because when we come to mine, naturally this thing, I was doing pro bono. I didn't charge legal fees. So though your spirit is willing, there are times, Charlie, you have to slow down this one and go and earn a living. So that's it of the matter. Yes. And then, so the lawyer in Sankuma did what he kept pushing. He said, look, Martin, either you charge fees or you do the work like you charge fees. So every morning, on the platform.
The team actually got angry with you at a point.
Exactly. Yes, all that.
Right.
So we all did that. Also, let's remind this, now that we know that Supreme Court is very open to criticisms. You remember this case, the one about the pink sheet, election 2016, Kofi Benton's case, the Asian versus Attorney General. When the Supreme Court wanted to do it quick, I remember that day, they even asked the lawyers. I think, Sam, you were also part.
No,
they
I wasn't.
They should go into the, you were, okay, no, Kofi Benton and Co. That, Sheshe, lawyer Kutampa, Kofi Benton and Co. Yeah, that decision is one of the greatest that we haven't celebrated much. The one on the pink sheet. They told them, the judges gave their chambers to the lawyers to go and sit down there, draft the issues, and come out.
That's
and they
right.
did. And then the court went on. So it tells you that when the court wants to move swiftly, the court will move. If for other reasons, the court thinks, it should not be that swift, it's for them. You say, yes. But as I said, for me, Justice Doche made it day in your case when he referred to the unanimous FC case, and he was very accommodating. So it means that, yes, we can reasonably criticize the Supreme Court because they need feedback, not very vicious and vitriolic. If we will express ourselves in this courteous words with decorum, they will be ready to listen. And Sam, let me add, because remember the context is that Professor Kweku Azan, he withdrew his case. He fought the Supreme Court very strongly because he said, no, they have to decide it quickly. They have to decide it quickly. They have to decide it quickly. But when the court wasn't doing, then he went and withdrew his case. On this same
your consequential reliefs that were not granted, remind us, what were they?
Wow. So let's see. We're talking about perpetual injunction. 1 second.
Right.
Let me read them out. So wanted a perpetual injunction to stop the president from ever doing that. But Sam, even before then, you raised a critical question, which I've been thinking about. Once they say the appointment is null and void, it means that the president has to go through the appointment process again.
Okay.
Yes, the B, let's start with it. The B says a declaration that, and that was granted, it says a declaration that the purported appointment or designation by or on behalf of the president on 30th June 2020 of one Mr. Johnson Ekuamwa Esiedu as acting Auditor General is void and of no legal effect, as the said appointment stands contrary to Articles 71B, 187.3 and 187 Clause 7 of the Constitution, as well as the second schedule to the Constitution.
And
so
this was granted.
The appointment of Johnson Ekuamwa Esiedu is null and void. So it appears the president has to go through the exercise again. Yeah, once it's been declared null and void.
There was no order for his name to be expunged from acting as Auditor General for the period. Okay,
this one, we call it in law res ipsa. Ipsa. The matter speaks for itself. It's very clear that the appointment of Mr. Johnson Ekuamwa Esiedu is null and void. So the president has to start the exercise all over.
Thank you. That was on the lighter note. But my substantive question to end with you was the reliefs that were not granted. Share them with us again. The ones that...
Okay, so relief D. It says, 1 second. It says that on a declaration that on a true and proper interpretation of Article 71, Clause 1, 187, Clause 2, and 297, Clause A of the Constitution, the leave entitlement of the Auditor General is like his salary, a right associated with his office as an independent constitutional office holder and does not constitute or give rise to an obligation which the Auditor General is duty-bound to assume or else be compelled to do so at the instance and insistence of the President. Then E, an order of perpetual injunction to restrain the President or his agents from issuing or seeking to enforce on the Auditor General any directive that has a purpose or effect of commanding the Auditor General to take his leave or to surrender any of his powers or functions to another person. Then F, an order of perpetual injunction to restrain the President or his agents from designating or appointing any person as an acting Auditor General to exercise a constitutional power or perform a constitutional function of the Auditor General without authorization from the sole duly appointed Auditor General. And G, any other consequential orders that the court may deem fit.
So these were not granted because of the delay.
Yes, the court said they were moot.
Yes, they had become moot.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right, Martin, thank you. Yes.
Sam, one plea, 30 seconds, please. We are begging MTN. They should open our mobile money wallets. Our monies are locked up. I have been blocked. So many millions of people are crying. Please, they should open our wallets. Let's take out our money. Then they can take their SIM card if they so wish. Because we are really suffering. Yeah.
I think there's a process that when you go to their offices, they are able to do and effect your payment to you. Right.
No, we don't need to go there. They should just open it. We don't need to go there. It will cost us too much.
Okay.
But it is a consequence of your failure to do it earlier.
It is your right not to also do it.
Very well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And on the matters of the delays, and on this day, there were actually two cases that the Supreme Court unanimously pronounced against. And one of it was the one that was challenging the powers of the president to unilaterally suspend fundamental human rights and freedoms in the whole or a part of Ghana by the Imposition of Restrictions Act that was made by Parliament. And I remember you and I had discussions here, and we said that law was unconstitutional. Yeah. It doesn't pass muster. There's actually no timeline to that law. So what that law effectively means is that, but for this decision of the Supreme Court that has struck down that Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, any president, any day, could invoke that law and restrict your freedoms, even though there's no coronavirus. It was not coronavirus-specific law. And that case was prosecuted by Dr. Justice Shram Sai, and the plaintiffs in that matter, as Martin was talking about, were Professor Kodwa P.J. Etua, Dr. Sena Day Tutu, Felicity Nelson, Benjamin Darkon, Samson Ladia Nyenini, Golda Ado, Democracy Hub, and Democratic Accountability Lab. So it's been an interesting time in the Supreme Court, and also chiefs who have been endorsing candidates have also been told that that is completely wrong. It's active participation in politics, frowned upon by the Constitution. They cannot do that. They can praise the regime for the development they have received in their area, but they can now say vote for this man, vote for that man. Let's see how the Supreme Court continues with its jurisprudence in this direction going forward. Now let's move on to Asin North. A by-election has been declared there because of Jachi Kwesin's removal as an MP.
Also, we're not going to say anything about the imposition of restrictions.
No. It's not part of the subject for discussion. Right. And we are looking at the questions of risk that the NDC may be taking, because he's still facing criminal prosecution, and they don't know how it will end. There are some who suggest that obviously that case will take a long time. It will go beyond 2024, and the NDC is hoping that they will win. Once they win, since prosecution is a political decision, they will simply go and file a nolle prosequi and get him out. because they disagree. Tony Edu is an elder in the NDC, Dr. Tony Edu. He's joining us on the phone to share his views. You know that he doesn't speak only about the economic matters, but also matters of politics with sufficient, understanding, if you call it jurisprudential understanding of the issues. Thank you very much, Dr. Tony Edu, for joining us on Newsfile.
Thank you, Sam.
Great.
I must say that it's a pleasure coming back, hearing my voice again on Newsfile after more than 24 years.
Wow.
The first and last time was in 1999.
Right.
Yeah. But
okay.
Something.
Yes.
I wanted to make a very brief comment on the Supreme Court judgment on the Domilovo case. I thought you called me for that too.
Please proceed.
Yes, very briefly. Obviously, the Supreme Court has come to judgment when time has rendered the matter consequentially functus, so far as Domilovo's right is concerned, and in fact, in several aspects of the matter relating to public interest. But I must say, with regard to what my friend Inu Sapuseni said regarding the impeachment of the president, Inusa, I think it's about time that we call a halt to some of our style of politicking. I'll urge you to read William Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, where we had a distinction between puritanical concept of justice and pragmatic concept of justice. And I think this should be good for the future democracy of our country and inter-party politics. Another comment regarding Mr. Martin Pebu Esquire's comment towards the Constitution, the framing of the Constitution. It was not done to appease President Rawlings. Kwame Nkrumah never had any role in both the technical propositions nor the deliberations of the Consultative Assembly, of which I was a member, and I was also a member of the powers of government that considered the provisions concerning the presidency. Indeed, if it was to appease President Rawlings, we would have allowed the term of the presidency to be 5 years. But we hotly debated it, and it was limited to 4 years. Now, to the matter regarding the risk Christians face with a criminal prosecution.
The risk, that is, if any at all.
If any at all. What I want to observe is that criminal prosecution must be proven, or criminality must be proven on
beyond all reasonable doubt.
Beyond all reasonable doubt. That is the first one. Secondly, the prosecution must prove mens rea that he had criminal intention to commit the offense that he did. Thirdly, there is the factor that he had reasonable belief that what he was doing was right. Reasonable belief can vitiate guilt in criminal prosecution. And finally, there is the element of reasonable steps that he took to prevent his commitment of the offense. These are 4 principles of criminal justice that must be taken into account. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Dr. Tony Edu, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right. So those were rather deep and, if you like, very sober, reflections on some of the, issues that we have brought to and we are discussing. So, on Winners of Sani, the court says Kwesi was never a member of parliament. Ab initio. He never existed in parliament. His name should be expunged. The EC says, now let's go for a by-election. And in this by-election, the NDC says, we are putting up Kwesi because he's qualified. No problems about that. He has his renunciation certificate. No problems about that. The people say, because there's a criminal trial, you ought to be, you know, a little careful. What do you say to that, those who say that?
Well, so first of all, let me thank my senior comrade, Dr. Tornado. Took a lot of inspiration from him when he was in active politics, and still look up to him for leadership and direction. I've read the Theories of Justice. If you want to understand the ideal of justice, read Amrita Sen. He's written a locus classicus on justice. And it's always important, whether it's puritanical or social justice, to ensure that justice is done in any situation. I mean, the other side of justice is accountability. Okay, and so when a pronouncement of a court is made and it just goes, then what is justice? What is justice?
I think you don't need to relitigate that.
No.
You shared your view. He also shares his view.
I'm not really
He also shares his view.
Yes.
But it is human nature that we cannot all agree. And you can accommodate his views without, you know, compromising yours.
I'm accommodating his views, but I'm just saying that Amrita Singh idea of justice will be very important for anybody who wants or who is pursuing justice to read.
Okay.
Now, so the facts of, like lawyers normally say, the facts of the Judge Kwesi's case is not in doubt. And the brief facts are that somewhere between September 2020 and October 2020, he put in an application to renounce his Canadian citizenship in Canada. Normally, that application takes 3 months to complete. The COVID pandemic, according to Judge Kwesi, deprived the Canadian authorities of working full-time. The nominations for the 2020 elections were opened between 7th and 9th of October. 7th and 9th of October. On the 20th of October, he got his certificate of renunciation. 11 days after nominations had closed, he got his certificate of renunciation. But because he put in the application to renounce his Canadian citizenship, that application was acknowledged by the Canadian authorities, and he was informed that they were processing his application for renunciation. He submitted same to the Electoral Commission.
When someone challenged that he could not.
He could not. When he was challenged that he could not, he submitted same to the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission, upon examination of the documents, felt that he had evinced an intention to renounce his citizenship, and that in their view was enough proof that he had renounced his citizenship.
But the application, he put the application in 2019.
19?
Yes.
In 2019.
I think you said 2020.
No,
2019.
2019. I said between 2020, September and October.
Okay.
But in 2019, the application was put in. So that's long before So what I felt the Supreme Court did was to hold the letter and consistent with the decision in the Senator, where they said that the eligibility of a person takes effect upon the opening of nomination. And so since on the 7th, between 7th and 9th, he did not have the certificate of renunciation, never mind that he didn't have. I mean, he showed that he evinced an intention to renounce. For us, he didn't have. And so he was disqualified. Now, when you look at this,
that one, though, is it as some people suggest? Is it not too much of a strict interpretation of the process? Some people say that's the height of constitutionality, because you are dealing with a court that is dealing with interpretation method that we call MOPA, right? Modern purposive approach. So that you are benevolent to the facts rather than being strict, you know.
Exactly. And when you read philosophy, benevolence, compassion should animate human thoughts. Okay, your conscience itself must be founded on your compassion, love, and understanding of the human nature. Okay, and so that also should animate the courts. I'm of the view that if they had used MOPA, they wouldn't have come to that conclusion. But they were bound by previous decision. And the Supreme Court, the Constitution says...
They are not bound by previous decision.
No, as much as possible. That's what the Constitution says. That as much as possible. They can depart. But in this case, they didn't depart. Okay.
Well, there's also the other argument, though, which clearly shows that we haven't seen their decision yet, but which clearly shows that they don't agree with that view, which Professor Azan and the rest continue to espouse, with authorities. They don't just say as matter of opinion, with authorities, judicial decisions, to the effect that, first of all, in Canada, renunciation doesn't actually require the certificate. Once you have done it, you are done orally, you are done it, you are gone. But more substantively, allegiance is not the same as citizenship. So to construe, you know, allegiance to another country, to construe citizenship to be allegiance to be citizenship to another country is wrong. That's an argument on the other side. So stay on.
But I will also advise you again and encourage you to go and read Hans Magentor. He is the chief proponent on sovereignty and why countries. I mean, he wrote his thesis at the time that we had feudal systems of government. And so a person needed to owe allegiance to a king or a queen, because that person, that king or queen, signified the head of state, and you couldn't serve two masters. So if you were found to owe allegiance to two kings, then you were a traitor. And so that notion of owing allegiance is to a king or a queen who was the head of state.
Yeah. But the argument is actually there that once he has done it, and it is known that he has done it, just a certificate he hasn't received.
Again,
you don't say he hasn't done it.
Renunciation is irreversible.
Okay.
Immediately you renounce, you put in an application to renounce.
So why do you, if there is that risk, take this risk?
There's no risk. First, so again, we are lawyers here, and we are privileged to be sitting with the former attorney.
But we are not speaking to lawyers.
No, so we are lawyers, so we understand.
All right.
So we understand that a person is assessed based on the qualification in the Constitution. Is he a certified lunatic? Is he a bankrupt? Has he been convicted of a crime of felony?
No.
Or dishonesty? Has he been sentenced to death?
He would not have been qualified in the first place.
Good. And so if you assess that person on the basis of that, tell me on what grounds can you say that person should not contest? It can only be on moral grounds. So yes, the risk is there. I mean, if you find an attorney general who is determined to prosecute, the risk is always there. And I agree entirely with senior comrade Dr. Tony Edu. They have to prove mens rea. I mean, they have to look at the circumstances of the case. The case will have to be defended in court, okay? And you can only trust that the court will do what is proper and just in the circumstances. But it's a risk, a calculated risk that the NDC is taking. And I don't think that the NDC has any legal basis to say that the questions should not run. Morally, too, it would be wrong.
But politically, this is being played and will be played very effectively by the MPP in the constituency. They're already there, and we have seen bulldozers and other things that have started fixing roads that were not
the Institute of Engineers say that they've issued a statement saying that in their view, the roads that were constructed in Kumawu will not last 1 year. Have you read it?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they said so.
So roads that are constructed during by-elections don't last. Oh,
they don't last.
No, so the question about the political side
of it. The people will not be swayed by.
The question about the political side of it. Question won with how many votes? Margin?
Difference of about 1,000.
About 2,000 or so.
It's a swing. It's a swing.
Actually, the presidential and another one.
Yes, it's a swing.
Yes. So a party in power, they have the money, they have everything. They will marshal it to the constituency.
Hey, they have the money.
And all they need is about 2,000 votes. You don't think they can make it?
Well, then you have a candidate who the people think that he has been hard done by government.
That's the essence of presenting him.
Yes,
Sympathy.
he has been hard done by government. That this is somebody,
Sympathy.
like you said, who in 2019 evinced an intention to contest, followed the processes of the law, put in his application. He's been held vicariously responsible for the Canadian authorities' inability to issue him with a certificate of renunciation long before the nominations were opened. And so we think that he is the best candidate. We think that we have a duty to right a wrong, and we are putting him there, and we are going to campaign for him to emerge as the parliamentary candidate or the member of parliament for the Asen North constituency.
Okay.
Never mind the risk. Never mind the risk. Let them do their worst. Who will present him?
All right. So, Kweka, I've seen the effective campaign machinery. Your youth group, all of them.
They've moved camp.
They say they are taking over the town and the villages there, and they are talking about works that have gone on over there. They are propagating it, and we have seen, the footages that are being shown us, the roads that are being cleared, and
some were
smoothing.
done way before this time.
We always hear about that. Even we were told that this was already going on, but somehow it is only the by-election that gets the work done. So here is, I think actually he had in excess of 3,000 votes or so.
Yeah.
So how are you going to undo that?
Well, if you look at the history of that constituency, and I have looked at it carefully, the NPP has won it 4 times in the past. And so if you compare our victory in that constituency to the NDC, NPP is ahead. And the margins are always reasonable, apart from 96 that we lost by a heavy margin of about, we had 36% in 96. The rest of them, NPP clocked more than 50% in all the victories that we chalked. In the last election, as I indicated, we lost in the parliamentary, but in the presidential, His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won. So what it tells you, therefore, is that the majority of the people are NPP, if we go by the results. And so if you get a parliamentary candidate who is appealing to the people to take the NPP votes in the totality of it, then he wins. That's the point. Again, now I'm going to talk about the issue of what actually happened to him, unfortunate as it is, as I'll say. You see, if you look at, I have contested as a member of parliament. My senior has done it several times. There's a form you fill. And when you are filling that form, even you have to, at the end of it, you have to go before a magistrate or a judge to endorse for you and etc. It is on that form that you make the declarations, whether you are a dual citizen or not. You see, as a people, when we move over time and we realize that we've entangled our necks with certain practices and procedures that are not of any help, we must do some changes as we move forward as a people. That has been the standard form we fill all the time. Now, the form, there's a particular question. They will ask you whether you owe allegiance to any other country. That means that, for example, if you are a dual citizen, and of course, this issue of allegiance, as you have indicated, I've spoken to Professor Zhang on several occasions while in office and out of office. We've discussed it. It's a very debatable issue because if you even look at the ordinary dictionary definition of allegiance, it includes the act of swearing to commitment to become a citizen of a particular country. It includes that. So you cannot run away from it unless there's a pronouncement by the court that allegiance does not equate to citizenship, which pronouncement we don't have anyway. So once the form, the declaration is very clear. You state whether you owe allegiance. And at the time that Jesse Kwesi was actually filing with the Electoral Commission, strictly speaking, and as we all know, and we agree, I know on the table here, there's no debate about that, he did not have the certificate of renunciation at the time he filled the form.
But the EC cleared him because he had proof that he had filed the process for renunciation.
I agree with you that the EC cleared him, but I'm saying that even what the EC themselves did, was it lawful? It's another subject that we have to debate. Because an intention to relinquish your citizenship of another country, does it equate to relinquishing? Unless we want to draw an analogy that once I have evinced the intention to actually renounce my citizenship, therefore I have renounced.
Where somebody says, I've applied to renounce, and the other country says, we will not let you renounce.
Do you? I mean, I don't have any such evidence.
Okay.
I don't have any such evidence. But the point I am making is that it is when you receive your certificate of renunciation that you actually present it to show that you are no longer a citizen of that other country.
Right.
You know, because first of all, how am I even convinced that your application you indicated, etc., is in the custody of the appropriate office, as you have claimed? You can only have that if the communication comes that your renunciation has been granted. Here you are.
No, they say there was
so
an
strictly speaking, you made in your preliminary comment, you made a very fantastic point about the strict constructionist application in this particular matter. And you were urging that the courts have at least gone for what they are used to.
I was not urging anything. I was asking questions.
That's why you were urging. Questions. I don't want you to run away from it. You were saying that the courts would have applied the modern purposive approach, in which case they would have been liberal enough to know that once the person evinced the intention to relinquish his citizenship, and then there was acknowledgement and all that, therefore, and you said they should have drawn some inspiration from Zaneto. Yeah, and all that. But you see, there is precedent also in this particular matter. If you look at clearly, I mean, the conviction of, and there's a slight difference anyway. I am not one of those who buy.
Not slight difference.
Between Adamu Dramani Sakande, there is a difference.
This a man that we are told the evidence showed that he was holding 3 different passports.
That's why I'm saying that.
And whilst in Parliament, he was traveling on them.
Yes.
You can't say the same.
No.
Yeah.
I am not party to those who say so.
Okay. Yeah.
But the most important thing is that in that case too, he was accused of false declaration. Well, that's one of the charges that he faced, false declaration.
Which was found to be a fact.
It is the form that he actually declared, and the court found to be a fact that at the time he made that declaration, he was actually holding the passport of 2 other countries apart from Ghana. So he was convicted. Now, in this particular case, yes, as you have indicated, there was no, documentary proof that there was an intention or evince an intention to renounce. In Jesse Kwesi's case, there has been. But fundamentally and strictly speaking, even though there was that intent, at the time he filled the form, he did not attach any certificate of renunciation, and he did not have any. Strictly speaking.
There was that a requirement to the form, filling the form?
In the form, you are supposed to declare that you don't owe allegiance to any other country. And we are saying here that once you have signed up, and there is even an oath that you have sworn, and indicated clearly that you don't owe allegiance to any country, and you don't have a certificate of renunciation. So
we are not actually debating the judgment now. We are talking about the prospects.
So I'm just moving to that. So now the point is this: they are assuming a risk. On the 9th of 6th January, when my learned elder brother, then minority leader, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, made a very emphatic point that they were going to allow him to sit down and get sworn in, and he was assuming all the risk to himself. Whatever was going to happen, the consequence, he was ready to take it. And then people were talking about the fact that once the process had been brought there to prevent him, he should quit the place. They insisted. And today, the Apex Court has made a declaration, so he's out of office. Now, they are assuming, as you have rightly pointed out again, they are assuming a particular risk. Because, mind you, if I'm a prosecutor, I will need not more than 2 witnesses to prosecute this matter. And that will not take me 6 months.
But you wouldn't determine how the prosecution will do.
No, I'm saying that I'm not saying that I'm the prosecutor. I am not even in that office yet. Because I don't need more than 2 witnesses to prosecute it. In any case, what would be the sense of going through all this laborious process for them to be a prosecution and then is convicted? Because remember that in the prosecution, he can either be convicted or acquitted and discharged. Nobody can be certain about anything because there are 2 sets of facts. Remember that in civil cases, the proof is just on the balance of probabilities, but in this, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And the prosecution will have to marshal their evidence in such a way that they convince the trial judge that there has been a proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So if they want to assume that risk and say that, yes, again, by our law, once he's on trial and he's not convicted, he's qualified to contest. Until you convict him, you cannot say. So, somebody...
In fact, by the time of the elections in 2020, he was qualified.
Yes.
It is by the time of picking the nomination
that he was not.
That's
yes.
For lack of the certificate of pronunciation.
Absolutely.
He has suffered.
That is what has actually led to the pronouncement. Right. Interestingly, 3 days ago, a classmate of mine in secondary school called me and said, he wants to come to me to consult me on whether it is possible to take an action to restrain Jechikwesi from contesting the Assin seat. I told him that I asked him what his basis was. He said, he's anticipating that should he be convicted, it will amount to causing a financial loss to the state. I said that would be far-fetched analogy. I told him, what is happening is that the prosecution, nobody can sit and judge that the consequence is that he must necessarily be convicted because that will be sub judice. And we leave that to the court and the evidence that will be marshaled and all that. But the point fundamentally is, as he has rightly pointed out, and as all other NDC people I've heard have stated, they are assuming a certain risk. A risk that can pay off or have consequences on them. And that is how life is anyway. You assume any risk, whatever the consequences, you bear it. So in the end, I think that if they exercise caution and decide that on the basis of this, we are not too sure what will be the outcome, so we are bringing a different candidate, it's another issue. But if the party unanimously says that, look, we are bringing the same person, the consequences we are ready to bear, so be it. It will enhance our democratic growth. But remember that we may be back here one day discussing. If he's acquitted and discharged, hooray and hallelujah to all of us. If he's convicted, then we may have another by-election in the same constituency before 2024. That is, if there is conviction before the 2024 election. And I don't think that is what any of us would like to anticipate or even think about or contemplate, because that will amount to excessive waste of our resources as a state in pursuance of this democratic right. So I will say that, yes, let's wait and see. But when you assume a certain risk, you have to bear the consequences of that risk you have assumed, if in the end you are not vindicated.
Right. So there are those who say you have a Herculean task to undo the 3,000 votes that he leads with.
Oh, it's not 3,000, is it? Can you check it? It's not 3,000.
I'm checking. It looks like it
is not 3,000.
Yes, whatever it is, something in that region. How is that feasible for you?
I have indicated to you that, first of all, the presidential election, we won it in 2020. I've indicated that to you. So what we need to do is to convince our following, strictly, that number that voted His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We have to marshal all forces and convince them that the candidate we are bringing is the best person who can bring them development. And remember that, as I said, we've already done a lot of development there, not because of the by-election, but because we need to develop all parts of the country. And then also the by-election will bring in more development. But the dynamics will also change because, remember, that the candidate we presented in 2020 is not contesting in the primary.
Yeah, you have changed the candidates.
Yes, there are 2 other new people who have come in. And so their personality will also count in this particular election, because it will mean that the Honorable Abena Droa, who lost the election to J.C. Question, who is no longer contesting. The new person who is coming may be one who is appealing and acceptable to all the MPP members and even appealing to some NDC members. So the dynamics of 2020 will be completely different from the by-election of 2023 as we speak. So in the end, I think that the party with the best strategy will win. And of course, we in government, we have moved camp to the place already. Our youth have moved there.
Like you have moved the capital to the...
I mean, we've moved the capital to Asin North. And we're very convinced
but
that
people say...
The strategy we have...
People say morally, are you happy with your conscience when you do this only because of a by-election? That you neglect people, and when it's by-election, then suddenly the development starts to show up.
No, I have said something, and I'll say it here. I said it on other platforms. You see, since 1992, whichever government, it appears that when there is a by-election, the development agenda of the area is catapulted to the highest level. Whether it is NDC in power or MPP in power. We shouldn't limit it to the fact that MPP is in power today. It has happened in the past. It is happening now. Right. It is not correct. But also remember that we have a certain resource envelope in the country, which is not enough to do everything everywhere. Right. So when something like this happens, because of the opportunity to go in there and show the people what the party is capable of, you bring in more development. Okay. Even though the people too will look at what you did prior to the by-election. And remember, as I've indicated, we are not just going there to do new things, but other things.
I'm actually trying to have the results of the last election projected for you. And without a doubt, he actually made 3,305. 3,305 votes. That's how he was able to do it. We need to take a break now, but is it not too difficult for you?
No, it's not difficult. Actually, we've looked at all the dynamics.
Part of the campaign they've started, your opponents have started, is that this is a guy who has denied you representation. I hear the NDC saying the NPP has denied you representation because they are the ones who went and tried to get you, your MP out, the person you voted for out. But the NPP is also arguing that this is a guy who entered the race without qualification and therefore has denied you representation over the period.
No. This is a guy who has been hard done by. This is a Ghanaian who has evinced an intention to be law-abiding, who took all the relevant and necessary steps to comply with the law. But by reason of the fact that the authorities in Canada were not able to give him a certificate of renunciation, he's suffering the consequences. That's just all.
Right.
And the MPP are playing it because they know that he's a very viable candidate. In fact, their attempt to stop him in the first instance was because they knew he could win.
But even your own party members were also against him.
When?
Some of your party members.
It appears it is your party members that began all of this.
The process was
then the others took advantage of it.
Which one?
During your primaries.
Your primaries.
That they started to say he's not a citizen.
Absolutely. So it was your own party.
No, primaries. People want to take advantage. They want to contest. And so some members
give out weapons.
Give up weapons. Exactly.
So we need to take a break here. Let's see how the things pan out in Asin North.
So that's very close.
This presidential.
That's very close.
So Nana Akufo-Addo has 16,000. And John Mahama had 15,000. But Jati Kwesing had 17,500 plus, right? As against the MPP's candidate, Abena, who had 14,000.
Even as against the president.
Right. Okay, so we take a break here. When we return, we go into the camp of the NPP proper on the question of a presidential candidate or flag bearer election. Will it go to super delegates? Because Akmanu Osu-Agyeman and the other elders are hoping that there will be a consensus candidate. Is that really feasible? And then if there's super delegates, then they would reduce the number of 10 so far to 5. And out of that number, there will be a Congress proper to elect 1. Will it be Baumia or Alan Chirmanting? This show is brought to you by the candidate sponsorship of Bank of Africa, strong as a group, close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 31 years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join. Duraplus, how you get your water matters. Remember, where Duraplus goes, water flows. And DBS Industries, roofing, Papa Efie. I'm Samson Ladia Yenini. My guests you have been listening to so far, Joseph Dimdiok Penka, Inu Safuseni, Martin Pebu, you heard him earlier. Erastus Asaridonko was the first that you heard, and Dr. Tony Edu. We'll be right back.
Negotiation in political strategy, and that if the strategy demands that some people must do this, I think in the interest of the party and for its unity, it will not be out of place. But quite obviously, so far, everybody wants to stand. But I think that even after the Electoral College, we keep talking.
You are your own person, unique, one of a kind, special. That's why you deserve everything tailored to suit your particular taste, your preference, your needs. Just like MTN Just For You. You can get customized offers tailored to who you are. Dial *141# or use the MyMTN app to get to choose from a variety of offers made just for you.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Ekaprenu eya enu ntina metufu se abibere o padia unsa nkoto no emprelu na mekanfo SCP ama SCP ewo tema shahel ehwo na factory kese no esi enye na apɛ pavement blocks ankasa ena de edisi dem biara no okɔ shahel SCP ebema obi se wo pese wo siw dan na pese wo gu concrete enya fina akoto cement akopa abo akopa nwea ofre SCP a the concrete ya messing that with quality cement warm on ba be good kama amount so whatever afienya dodowa aflawo pon any impatem woni nara your office I was Printers Road yani papaya restaurant in the dinhwedi
for SCP was 0501 672 608 and our toll free number 0800 626 262.
There are days when you think, whoa, today I've earned it. So order a Glovo. Days when plans run longer. What if we order a Glovo? Or days when you can't control everything. Oh yes, because on Glovo, you can order anything you want. Glovo, you order, we deliver.
Hi, good day. Your friend Dr. Victor Nana Dankwa, because every big Dank Healthcare. A very then conform hospital like catch up so many liver and kidney related conditions. Obi on my so fatty liver. Obi on my catch so when you hydronephrosis. Obi on my catch so when you pyelonephritis, which is inflammation of the kidney. Obi on my catch and send the kidney so be a big now. Obi on my send the creatinine and I send the JFR. And until we so how now sit me tatai. I feel don't send me an atom. Johnson now be Johnson, no be say phone be about be training. Kawakuma to him. And until now, Vicdan Healthcare, Yaba say, you did not alternative way so ever saw Yare.
So over Vicdanka, it was serene environment with ultra modern facilities. As I was share your track there was painters, Coca-Cola runabout, close to Fidelity Bank, Stanchart Ichironuma.
Pascal's showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that the wells can store many, many messages. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded your contact center yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
My name is Tina. I am a person living with HIV. I got to know my HIV status after I gave birth and lost the child because of HIV. In those days, prevention of mother-to-child transmission services had low patronage due to fear and stigmatization. Today, many HIV-positive women have delivered negative children. I follow the guidelines and take my HIV medicine called ARVs every day, as prescribed by my doctor. This makes me strong and healthy, and also prevent me from passing HIV onto any future child. Please, avail yourself for PMTCT services when pregnant. It is the only way to ensure you do not pass the HIV onto your baby during birth or pregnancy. If you have tested for HIV recently and it was negative, test again when pregnant. If you have tested positive, go to the hospital after birth as directed by your healthcare provider. Your baby will be given medicine immediately and tested to ensure baby and mother are well. Let us work together to have an HIV-free generation.
Our children must be free to shine.
Your friend Dr. Victor Nana Dankwa, because every big dank healthcare. A premier and Confoco hospital, a catch up so many liver and kidney related conditions. Will be one my so fatty liver. Will be a catch so when you're hydronephrosis. Will be one my catch so when you're pyelonephritis, which is inflammation of the kidney. Will be one my catch and send the kidney so be a big now. Will be one my send the creatinine and I send the JFR. And until we don't show how now sit to me tatai, I feel don't send me an atom. Johnson now be Johnson, who wants the phone be about be training. Kawakuma to him. And until now, Vicdan Healthcare, Yaba say, you did not alternative way so ever saw Yare.
So over Vicdanka, it was serene environment with ultra modern facilities. As I was share your track there was painters, Coca-Cola runabout, close to Fidelity Bank, Stanchart Ichironuma.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Some of your messages. Mike Ajiman says that I can't remember the number of times the need for a constitutional review has come up. We better do this in the luxury we have now or risk a forced change of constitution in the near future. K. Amofa says, why are some of the hashtag Ghana Supreme Court decisions with consequences, retrospective effect, and others not? Questions of law. I hope the discussion has assisted you. Bryson Taylor says, what are the implications for anyone who acts unconstitutionally in any civilized country? Whatever the implications are, he should be given some. A lawbreaker is unfit to lead, not rule lawful people. Kwaku Wisdom says, in a country where laws are only meant to be scribbled and not applied when required, expect nothing but political rhetorics and needless explanations from party people with no love for country. Sometimes the way we put our views because we disagree with others, you know. Anyway, it's a part of life. Salih Abdul Ganiu says the president should call Domelevo and apologize to him publicly and compensate him for the inconvenience he has caused him. There are those of you who are asking that we are doing a lawyer's file. You know, and it's interesting. He says you use the Bruton Fullman.
Yeah.
You know, analyzers, I don't get lazy. Just Google it. Bruton Fullman simply means an empty judgment. Okay, so you learn through this process as well. And there are some people we thank you when you say you learn a lot through the process. And I said functus officio, meaning the court, once he has finished his job, it doesn't have control. Once the judgment comes out, it doesn't have control of the thing. It has finished with its function, functus officio. Ab initio, we use the word ab initio, void ab initio. From the very beginning, what you relied on to be what is lawful, that did not exist in the first place. That's why they asked that his name should be expunged from the members of parliament. And someone says he's very excited about the decision unanimous on the imposition of restrictions act. Well, in fact, that was led by Fix the Country. It's Fix the Country that mobilized the people together, people who were campaigning against it together to go to court. Thank you very much. Now, let's go to the NPP's presidential primary. So they open nominations, and 10 people so far have picked their nomination forms to contest on the ticket of the NPP. Jachi Kwesing, June 27, there will be the by-election there. So that is done. So now the attention is on the votes expected in the NPP's primaries. Those who have picked are Boachi Ejakon, former energy minister, Boachi Chremanting Ejakon, former energy minister, Kwabena Eje Ejapon, former general secretary, Francis Adainimo, he's a perennial contester, right? Serial contester of the flag bearership. Doesn't really make a mark, but he still does it. Former MP for Asante Mampong. Dr. Kofi Konadu Aprako, former MP for Offenso, former minister of as well. I think regional something was started under him. Dr. Efria Akoto, former Agrek minister. Alan Kwejo Chremateng, former minister of Trade and Industry. Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, vice president. Joe Gate, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, MP for Esikado Ketan. Kennedy Ohene Japon, MP for Asin Central. Kojo Poku, an energy expert. So, Penka, I'm holding your constitution here, and your constitution is very clear about the process. But do you think that what the elders of the party are seeking to do is realistic? That they will get a consensus candidate, so that you don't need a super delegates meeting, you don't, at the Congress, you just acclaim the person and then you are done.
Well, I'm being realistic. I'm a party member, die hard in the WOMS. I've been a member since '92 and I've served in different capacities. I see that it's a very good wish, but it cannot be accomplished. It will be very, very difficult because I'm looking at it that I don't see any of the people lined up who will voluntarily agree that I will step aside and allow this person to go or this person say. So that would be a very difficult.
Does it not depend on how you talk? Some of them you can clearly see they know that they won't make any mark.
The point is that, you see, everybody goes into an election with the purpose of winning. And sometimes it is the people who urge you on who will tell you that, look, it is the noise in the media that is not in your favor, but actually you will win if you go in. So you will have that hope. And then you put up yourself with the aim of getting elected. It is only when the reality dawns on you, as it happened in 2007 at Legon. I recall that somebody got 1 vote. After all that tour around Ghana, someone had 1 vote to his credit.
And that was my best candidate, Dr. Atta Kennedy.
Atta Kennedy had 1 vote in 2007 in Legon. So the reality dawns on people only when counting begins. And then you see that your agents are holding virtually nothing. But at the beginning, you will still have a lot of people who are shouting. Yesterday, I was reading something from a friend's WhatsApp, and I had a good laugh. There were some people from the north, three guys from one of the regions. They came, when they endorsed 3 of the candidates. They went around 3 candidates and endorsed them and all that. What's the purpose? At the end, they have just 1 vote. You know, but they'll give you all the encouragement. At the end of the day, the reality will dawn on you only when you go into it. That is why
it's about how deep your pocket is, isn't it?
I have said
Atta Kennedy, the results for Atta Kennedy tells me that ideas don't matter. It is how deep your pocket is.
Not that necessarily. Sometimes with the love of the people. Sometimes they can love you unconditionally. I can tell you this. Because some people may have deeper pockets, but they will love you unconditionally. We have those, but anyway, the majority of the instances that I know, it is how deep the pocket is. But there are some few occasions when the people will show love and not necessarily the one who pays the highest.
But the best ideas should be what should drive.
I agree with you that the best ideas should be what should drive us. That is the ideal situation. But the practical situation on the ground is different. Because you go and the delegate will tell you that when you go up there, you will remember me. So bring it now and let me chop and vote for you. That's what they will tell you.
Cocoa season.
But cocoa season. But let me just make this general comment. You know, as you have rightly pointed out, I have been privileged to be, on 2 or 3 occasions, I have been a member of the Constitutional Review Committee of the MPP and presented reports to Congress and all that. And one of the things that we actually did that suits my heart a lot is in 2007 in Legon, we had 17 contestants.
That's right.
Later on, I mean, our own party members, we agreed unanimously that, look, this was getting too embarrassing to have 17 people lined up when opponents and critics refer to them as a beauty contest and all that, very derogatory terms and etc. And the bickering, rancor and acrimony and tearing apart, I mean, it was just too much to bear. So taking lessons from that and making the constitutional living document, we decided to actually amend it so that what happens then is that when the people are more than 5 by this constitution, you do a super delegates conference involving a number of defined persons, your national executives, regional executives, the constituency chairman of the 275. I mean, they are specified in the constitution. Then they would vote all the candidates who have presented themselves, and the first 5 by order of numbers that you got are then presented to the Electoral College as a whole, which would then be constituted by the 5 in each polling station, the coordinators, the regional executives,
and the super delegate, I understand, is 900.
Yes, 900. But
each person needs 150 votes to survive.
You know, so at the end we need 5. In fact, they will just arrange them by order, and we take the first 5 and present them to the general, and then they will then elect one person, and it will be clear. Look, one thing I've come to realize about our party is that when they take a decision, it's emphatic. So the decision as to who will lead us will be an emphatic one. It will not leave room for any doubt at all. And
people have been public about which camp they belong. So
I don't want you to go there today. At least today, I don't want you to go there.
So
I've made declarations in the parliament. Don't go there. When we get there,
do you agree with Penka that the consensus candidate process that Hackman is leading is fruitless?
How he's going to arrive at that, I don't know. Who is going to give way? I mean, when you have a pack of elephants struggling to elect a leader to lead them into an election, how do you get some to share their ambitions. And most of these people are moved by ambition. I mean, so I don't see how that will happen. But I see something also fundamentally wrong with the way they are going. You know, you see, when you are doing a constitution of this nature, you don't create an elitist system within the constitution and call some people super delegates and other non-super delegates. What they ought to have done simply was that, look, these are the rules. So we're going into the contest. If you get 50% or more, you become our leader. Okay?
That's actually the threshold when you go to the annual Congress.
Yes. So you let them go. Okay? If you want to weed out some people, you put the qualifications in the Constitution. You must be a member of Parliament, or you must have said...
They have provided for all that.
No, they've not.
They have.
Where is it?
It's in their Constitution.
So if they provided for that, why are they then coming up with super...
You still are able to get more than 5 who are qualified.
Yeah. So why do you want to limit the number of people who want to present themselves to be?
No, we are saying that it was experience that guided us.
Are you responding to the criticism that is a beauty contest?
Those things.
No.
You know,
so you see,
the Constitution is a living document, and then you actually put into
first of all, I think that and this MPP has a large number of overly ambitious people, and some of them don't actually look at their capabilities, and they think that governance, and particularly if you have Nana Akufo-Addo become the president of the country and messed up this country the way he has done.
Has the NDC ever had up to 5?
No, NDC has never had up to 5, not even 4.
So how do you manage that?
No,
first of all, who are not ambitious enough in your...
No, first of all, NDC is a Congress, so you must like the Chinese system, you must come from within. So everybody appreciates what you can do. So when you finally emerge, they have confidence in you. Okay?
But that is why many people... Doesn't the MPP system rather show that they are more democratic?
No, the MPP is just a fight for all. Come in. If you have the resources. You, Samson, you know, as we speak, that there are people who have picked forms, who even in your wildest dreams, you will not vote for, because you do not think that they have the capacity to lead a country like Ghana. You understand?
Yeah.
So they're there. Now I know.
The day,
because some of them, when they talk, you can tell that in 3 decades they've not read one book. And you want to be my leader.
But my leader.
But Samson, the point is this.
They have even difficulty formulating their own.
You know, I wanted to draw his attention to something.
But that's
let me draw your attention to something, senior. The time you will know whether there are ambitious people in NDC or not will be when you have an exiting president in your party sitting in office and exiting. The last time you had it was the Swedru declaration.
No. Well, so
it was Swedru declaration that you had. That is the last time you had it.
We decided Swedru.
And after Swedru, I want you to ever have an opportunity.
No, we decided
to be an incumbent and exiting.
Swedru, you should not look at the declaration as a bad thing.
You've never had any such.
Swedru actually set the stage for NDC to manage its internal contest.
Okay.
Swedru.
All right.
Okay. For us, I mean, for the people who have picked the forms, I mean, if I'm allowed to speak
time is up quickly
on them, there are only about 2 people who appear to be qualified to know exactly what they want.
Who are these?
Nimo.
Nimo. Okay.
And former Minister for Transport, what's his name? Jogati.
Oh, I see. Interesting. All right.
The others are so tainted that it's not funny.
I see. Interesting.
Very interesting.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, very interesting. We will get there. Don't worry.
Thank you very much.
When we get there, we'll present our candidate.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So my guests have been Joseph Dindiok Penka, former Deputy Attorney General and Deputy Minister for Justice, former MP for Tempane, Inus Afoseni, former Ranking Member, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, committee. He was also former minister in various portfolios. Martin Pebu joined us earlier. Erasmus Osaredonko and Dr. Tony Edu also joined us earlier. I'm Samson Ladi, and my outfit, as always, is by Habil's Couture. You can find them at Ajiringano Gate, East Legon. You can call them.